Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Poseidcast. With me today, I am joined by the one and only MK Soup. Like, if you see a Twitter clip of someone playing Mortal Kombat 9, it's probably this dude right here, someone who has had a lot of experience in the community, and I wanted to bring him on tonight to kind of shed some light on how the scene kind of looked in the before times. I'm someone who has, I would say, relatively new. I joined somewhere in MK11, kind of like halfway through that, so it was like 5 years ago at this point, which seems like a long time, but in the grand scheme of how long, there's been competitive NRS games, that's not that long. So, Soup, do you have anything you would like to say before we get into some questions here? Shout out any social media or anything, or?
I'm pretty low key. I don't really. I'm not a big clout person.
Fair enough. So, you're someone who still actively plays MK9. I do see you play MK1 as lot as well. How is it like? Because I see you play like online too. Like, how is it even like playing online in that game? That's something I would be interested in learning about.
So in reality, it is extremely hit or miss. And there's no in between. Actually, yeah, there's decent connections, but basically, decent connections the best you're gonna get. 100%. I have one of my friends that I play with every now and then, but more consistently than others. He lives in Florida, and the connection is so laggy. It is so laggy. And then I'll play somebody in like Cali, and it'll be better. Like it doesn't make sense realistically, but.
Yeah.
And
cool.
But it's fun. It's fun. Always fun.
Yeah. So I know back in when MK9 was the like top competitive game or the newest NRS game at that point. There's still there wasn't good online. Like the netcom was bad. So to get like good practice or even just like competition, you basically had to go offline. So what was that like competitive community like when you were like first getting into it? Like online, I feel like online centered like tournaments weren't really like a thing back then, or maybe they were. I shouldn't know.
So oddly enough, at the beginning of the lifespan, online tournaments were pretty popular. Like they had the New Wave tournaments and all that stuff. I think Pig of the Hut and Getting both won those. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. So online tournaments at the very, very beginning were a pretty big thing, and then I think when the communities start getting bigger, like when CD Junior, Crazy Dominican, they came around. That's when offline started mattering more because like counter poking became more popular, dash canceling became more popular. But online still gave solid practice, regardless of how bad it was. Online gave way more practice than offline, in my opinion, because in reality, if you look at the clips, you'll notice that there's a lot of loyalists. So say your scene is basically you, a Kano player, and a Shiva player. Like you're gonna run into two Cabals your very first tournament. You're not gonna have any practice if you're only playing offline. And I do think people gave credibility to online, not so much in terms of like it matters more than offline or even compared to it, but Pig hosted a tournament for, I believe it was MLG Dallas. It was an online tournament. Anyone could enter. Whoever wins gets a free trip to MLG Dallas.
That's cool.
So online tournaments were still held. It's just online was seen as way, way worse, both competitively and just as like a training ground. But I think opposite. I think online was fine.
Yeah. No, you're right when it comes to like if you are only practicing like locally, going to like your locals or whatever, you're only gonna have matchup experience versus the people that go to that local. And locals aren't huge, so you have like 5 or 6 people. You only learn 5 or 6 matchups, and then instead you run into like a Cabal or a matchup that you don't know. And when online, you're gonna run into all the matchups eventually at some point. You're just playing like ranked or something like that. So that's a very good point. So you said we were talking that you got into the competitive scene around the end of 2011. What was like the offline like tournaments like what were they like? What were like the names? Like MLG was a big thing back then, where a lot of the tournaments ran through MLG, or like what were they ran through? Or were they all just grassroots? Or?
So actually, they were pretty much all grassroots besides MLG. So the really big tournament were the Big E tournaments, NEC, DT, Summer Jam. I even think Absolute Battles was pretty big. Final Round was big. SCR, NCR was big for a year, I think.
NorCal Regional, SoCal Regional, right?
Yeah, and then what was that one tournament that was like a scam, like Devastation or something like that?
That sounds like it. I don't know if I know what you're talking about, but Devastation and scam sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was like 2011, I think, Rio, or 2011 or 2012, but it was Rio against Paulina in the grand finals, and it was the first time seeing like actual Cabal dash cancels. So it was really cool seeing a game of all like nothing, everyone learning together.
Yeah.
Tournament wise, grassroots tournaments had really good turnout. People think like 90 people, bad turnout, whatever, but back in the day, like 100, 150 was pretty consistent, and
that's pretty crazy.
I think it was really good. Well, anywhere between 60 to 150, depending on it.
Yeah.
But I think that was a fun turnout. Like, I don't care about numbers. Like, every single tournament I went to, extremely fun. I had the time of my life at that tournament.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really cool. So, I hear you, like, I remember, like, on Twitter, one of the first things I saw from you were you were going on, like, you were just uploading Rio clips. And, it was, like, just a reminder of who the GOAT is or whatever, like, every, like, couple days or whatever. And, were you close with Rio? I know he's, like, one of, if not, like, pound for pound, like, the best, like, NRS. Like, probably Sonic Fox may have surpassed him just with their consistency, but Rio won, like, a lot of stuff, so... were you close with them? Were they like Brendan, do you want to like, because like to be like a champion, I feel like you have to put in so much time and effort. So, I guess I'm just kind of interested in kind of like how he went about improving, especially in a time where you could play online, but resources weren't readily available.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. So Rio, I actually consider to be like my best friend that came from fighting games. I really like Rio. We're really well, we were really close, but he got busy and whatnot lately. But we were basically training partners. Like, he would come to my college dorm and stuff like that. He would come to my house, to meet my family. Like, we would play a lot. We would go to the Dominican Brothers' place. We'd go to Troy's place, Costner's.
Okay.
Actually, I think that was before Costner came, but you get my point.
Yeah,
like,
I get your point.
We were like always going everywhere and playing Mortal Kombat 9. And my big thing, one, I hated competing. 2, I refused to play characters that could have won me stuff, if that makes sense. Like,
like top tiers.
Yeah. Well, not even top tiers. Like, so my best character was Liu Kang. But I have never played one Liu Kang match. I only play Quan Chi because I had like an ego as a kid.
Of course.
But like, I gave all of my other character matchup experience to Rio, basically.
Okay.
And a story with that too is when we went to EVO 2013. Rio was playing against Sonya player, I believe it was Morty Seinfeld. We already made an agreement that, not an agreement, but we were pretty much me, him, Revolver, and Guamocon. We're just like, oh, we're just gonna like chill, like we don't really care for this tournament, because that's when Injustice 1 came out. So they were pretty much there for Injustice 1, they haven't been playing Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah.
So like, okay, my pull is first, like I'm out. What do you guys want to do? You know what I'm saying? And then Rio, he almost loses 40. I think it was 2-1, like last hit, last round, something like that. And then he comes over to me and he's like, "Yeah, I kind of want to do well with it."
I kind of want to do well today.
Yeah, he's like, you know, I kind of want to fight this. So this man pulls me to the side. I'm just giving him matchup experience as the tournament goes on. He's like breezing through everybody, and I'm like, yeah, that could have been me.
You could have been on the Evo banner, like, you know, you go to Evo now and they have all those like 2012, 2013, 2014 who won. That could have been MK Soup could have been right there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's why I wonder, regret.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, he had tournament-wise, he had something about him that he would play exactly the same way that he would play in casuals in tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Basically saying like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, because
Like,
in tournament matches people play a lot safer, a lot more defensive.
Nervous, kind of.
Oh yeah, a lot more nervous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't sandbag casuals. He would give you like his full on.
Mm-hmm.
He made videos about how to beat Cabal, and he accurately like predicted how Cabal's playstyle would evolve over time, which would be like EX Nomad dash cancels, to gas blast, all that stuff. And like he wanted people to beat him basically, just by how he gave a gameplay for Cabal and whatnot against Cabal. So he liked the challenge, and I think that's something that like put him above the rest, where he would go into any bracket and he'd play. He didn't care who he had to verse or anything like that, or who he had to verse getting into top 8 or whatever. Like every single tournament he wanted to win, and I think him trying his hardest in casuals gave him that experience of being like, oh, someone's gonna figure out. If someone figures out how to beat me in casuals, then I'm too predictable for tournament, basically. And if he's so good. In my opinion, Prime Rio is probably the best fighting game player from at least the NRS scene at the time that I've seen at all. That's like way above so many people.
That's pretty crazy. So, when did he stop like competing? Because I that's not someone that I've seen. Someone I've like heard about, and if you go back and like watch like older like Evos and stuff, you'll see him. But not someone who's around like towards like MK11 days.
Yeah.
So did he? For someone who, I mean, like I get like, there's a lot of ways like I'll go about like thinking about it, or looking at it. It's like you look at like sports careers. Like eventually, after 10, 12 years, people. I mean, usually it's physically they burn out, but like mentally you can burn out too. Like, you know, you're playing a game or just like fighting games or general, and just like you have the amount of time you have to put in to be good. It's a lot. So it's understandable when someone decides to walk away. But
yeah.
When did he stop playing, and is there any like reason behind that? Like, I mean, you don't have to get too deep about it.
Yeah.
But
I think his last competitive game in terms of offline was probably Injustice 2. I'm pretty sure he did online stuff for Mortal Kombat 11, and if he didn't, then he didn't. I don't think he went to any offline. So I would say Injustice 2. And I personally don't know his reason for not competing. I know he's more into like FPS games right now and whatnot. But I know when he stopped competing Justice 2, he's been competing since, I want to say, Mortal Kombat versus DC or even UMK3.
Really? Like since UMK3, or was UMK3 like kind of big for a while? Even when the other thick 3D era games came out.
I think UMK3 was big for a decent amount, and it was either that or MK versus DC. But that was like his first like bigger competitive game. So he's been competing for a long time by Injustice 2.
Yeah, no, that's very true. MK versus DC, I feel like that game is so like. There was a competitive scene for MK versus DC.
Oh yeah, you never heard about Green Lantern breaker combos? Tom Brady, Rio, and I think Check were all like super good at that game.
They're super good at that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like I have heard like rough like stories like in the background of like, oh, this person started in MK versus DC, but that's just like. Has there always been a competitive scene? Like for like it was MK4, there was a competitive scene. For Deadly Alliance, there was a competitive scene. Or did it come around like in MK vs DC days, or do you have any idea?
So I personally wouldn't have any idea. I do know like Mike Metroid and THCB would definitely know way more about that than I would. But I would assume yes, for the sole reason that I've heard many people tell me that THTB is very, very, very good at Armageddon. And in order for people to know that someone's like extremely good at it, there has to be some type of competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm assuming it was back then, but they would know way more than.
Yeah, no, it'd be nice. Mike is cool, and it'd be cool to have him on at a future episode. But so you're someone, like you said, you still actively play Mortal Kombat 9, and pretty sure there was a tournament recently in your area, and they had an MK9 tournament. And if I recall, Combat Breaker 2018 was when Injustice 2 was out. MKX was the most recent MK9 game. They had an actual MK9 tournament, and it was relatively big. Do you think there ever would be like a tournament of that size again for MK9? Is there any sort of like, scene where there's like tournaments or anything like that, or is it just kind of like at an offline sometimes they'll have it?
So, from my knowledge, Combo Breaker might have been the last like really big tournament for MK9. My dream one day has always been to like have like one of a team tournament type thing where you pick one person from every iteration of Mortal Kombat from MK9 onward. That would be cool.
That would be really cool. I feel like that would be like, I can imagine the difficulty of pulling that off.
Yeah.
But if pulled out well, that would be a really, really cool event for sure.
Yeah. Like the only way realistically it would work is if you had like a pool. Like you throw someone that could play each game, whatever game, into each pool, and then have like somebody just draft them randomly.
Yeah. That would probably be the way you do it. Yeah, man, it would be so difficult doing another. Well, then people would recruit them. Would it be online or offline? In this imaginal.
So realistically, Mortal Kombat 9 sucks online. It would have to be out like an Evo or something like that as like a side tournament, but I think something like that could, like basically it's a point system, and then whichever team has the most points, that's how you rank them.
That would be cool. I've been TOing for a while, and one of my like big goals eventually, would be to run a big NRS centric event and have like every NRS game there.
Yeah, exactly.
At least the 2D, unless the NRS season games, and then or the NRS bought. Wait, no, they became NRS for MK9, right? Or MK9, not for it, but you know what I'm saying? Am I crazy? Because they were Midway, and then they became NRS for MK9, right? Or MK9 was their first game as NRS.
I think MK9 was their first game.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm like 90% sure that's the case. I just didn't know how to word it right. I was wording it bad. But so like every NRS game plus like maybe like one like 3D era game, because I'm not sure like how big. If they had bigger scenes and there's like they want a 3D era game for all of them, but like one 3D era game and probably like UMK9 or UMK3 and then maybe like MK2. That game's kind of like weirdly popular as well.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, they've been hosting tournaments.
Yeah, I saw Mike. Like, there was like an offline tournament that he went to, and then there was like a big online tournament that they played with very interesting rules that I had a hard time following, but it was fun to watch. But I think that's like the dream, one day eventually. That's how I know. Like,
tournament similar to that actually.
Really?
In Cincinnati.
Really?
So I think they went from MK1 to like Mortal Kombat 1, like the original, to I think it was Mortal Kombat 9 as the last one. And I know Detroit and Biggs won like everything.
Oh really?
Yeah. That's the only reason I knew about the tournament, but it's interesting that something like that I didn't even see on like my timeline or anything. I don't know how much was advertised.
Yeah, it was like I would like really make it so every game had like some sort of like pop bonus, so it would incentivize people to travel to them, like because like I don't know, MK9 is kind of like a niche community now. So it would be cool if there was like one event that was worth it that would get people who still like MK9 to come out, you know what I mean? Or like Injustice 1 or Injustice 2 or MKX, you know what I mean? Because like I know they have like their niche like kind of online scenes, and like maybe at like a tournament they'll like bring a couple Xboxes and they'll host an MK9 tournament or something, but there's not like, at least it doesn't seem, nothing that I could find. Yeah, exactly. The people aren't going to be flying out from California and New York or whatever to go, to some tournament that's going to have 10 people. Yeah. So but that's cool that and has done that before, and I know we're probably going to do something like that in upstate New York, where it's just like we'll just have the games. It's kind of like an NRS like appreciation type thing. But so you're someone who you've been in the competitive community for a while. NRS is a game is a company that releases games pretty frequently. I'm not sure how familiar you are with other fighting games, but how do you think that has affected the NRS community? If you can draw a comparison to like potentially other fighting games like Street Fighter or Tekken, where they get games less frequently.
So I was actually thinking about this, oddly enough. Because I was like, how long ago did the last Tekken 7 come out? And Street Fighter and Tekken, they're both around the same amount of time frame. And then Mortal Kombat, I think the longest we've waited for a new game is like 4 years, maybe.
Yeah. So from I've done like research on this, from Deadly Alliance to MK11. If you count Injustice games, there was a new game every 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't have a problem with it if there were at least legacy buttons. Like Sub-Zero's Ice Ball changes so often. Like each game, it gets so confusing. It doesn't get like super confusing as long as you have the muscle memory, but like I don't know, it would feel so much nicer to like when you get the new game, you already have an idea of like what your specials will do at least.
Yeah, what your character's like game plan will be or something like that.
Yeah, well, not even necessarily the game plan, but like you go from Mortal Kombat 9 to Mortal Kombat X. Sub-Zero's Ice Ball goes from down forward 3 to down forward 2.
Oh yeah, that's super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I don't like that. I definitely don't like that. It's like you have to redevelop the muscle memory. It's like, why not? Like, what would be the harm?
Yeah, exactly.
Just keeping it the same. It's like the anti-legacy thing.
Yeah.
But you can continue. You can go on. Peter.
Oh, I was gonna say it's pretty much why I don't play Shang Tsung. I'm pretty sure his fireballs were different in Mortal Kombat 11, but in Mortal Kombat 9, his fireballs were down up 4, down back 4, down forward 4, and now I think it's like down back forward 1. And I'm like, obviously if I played it more, I'd get used to it. But
no, I'm kind of like a similar way where I don't like double up my characters. Like if I play them in one game, I don't tend to play them in the other. Like I've been competing in Super Smash Bros. Melee, but like when the new Smash games come out, I play Sheik in Melee. I don't normally play Sheik in the newer Smash games. Just because it's just like it's similar enough, but it is completely different.
Yeah.
So like I can understand that for sure. But do you think that has affected like the competitive community in a positive way or a negative way? Because I feel like a potential positive could be that like there's always excitement for a new game coming, but then the negative could be that the games don't get a ton of time to develop, or people may not like the newest version of the game. And if it's happening so frequently, then that turnover of people just kind of like, I don't like this game, could be kind of high.
So, I think the biggest issue that has come from it is the fact that the community chose between Justice and Mortal Kombat instead of both of them like existing at the same time.
Yes, I'm kind of perplexed why they don't exist side by side.
I think that's the biggest issue that has, because like if like they came out with a new Marvel and it's fun, that's gonna coexist with Street Fighter.
Yeah.
So, sure. And I'm pretty sure if they busted out some like Tekken Tag 2. Actually, I don't know. I think they would probably go out to Tekken Tag 2.
You think they would switch the games?
But like,
I get what you mean.
Injustice and Mortal Kombat, those are so different.
They really are.
So, I never understood why they couldn't coexist instead of having like one game. If you saw the cycle, like 2013, almost everybody dropped Mortal Kombat 9 for Injustice 1. I think it was 2014 or 2015 that, I think 2015 that Mortal Kombat X came out.
Yep.
Same thing, everyone dropped Injustice, Mortal Kombat X. 2017, Injustice 2 came out. Everyone tried Mortal Kombat X for Injustice 2.
Yeah.
So it's treated like a new game for the franchise instead of the fact that it's like a different game for the franchise.
Yeah, because not only like that, there's a new game, but like they changed titles, so it's like MK and Justice, and it's like the same company. So like you said, like if there's a new Marvel game, it's not like everyone from Street Fighter is going to abandon that to go play that. So it is interesting. And I feel like the community definitely can. Like I've been running some like online Injustice 2 tournaments, and they've been going pretty well. And there definitely is a community of people who are like really dedicated to the game and play it all the time. And there's like a huge like Discord community. And I think that can exist even with older MK games, even Injustice 1. And I feel like to some degree it does, but I feel like it could be more in the limelight. And I feel like there's a lot of people that you probably know or very familiar with who kind of like don't really like the new or even like the last couple MK games, and instead of using their platforms to be like, okay, well, let's play these older NRS games, which I have seen work. Like for me personally, it's been worked well, and I have like no platform at all. So I guess I kind of lost track of where I was going with this. But do you think there could be like an MK like 9 or MKX community, or do you think it's just we should just focus on the newest game?
So I've been conflicted with this as well, honestly, because on one hand, Ketchup and Mustard's channel on YouTube, I'm a big fan of their competitive history series.
Yeah,
you've seen those?
Yeah, I've seen those.
And it's always super cool looking back on like the games that were played and whatnot. But I think the biggest thing is my mindset's basically I don't need one of the games to be competitive to still enjoy playing it. But a lot of people don't have that same mindset, I think, because a lot of people are like, I want to do well, I want to beat other players, I want to do whatever.
The top or whatever, yeah.
And or a lot of people want to like be more recognized and whatnot as well. In which case, the only way you're gonna do that is play the new game. You have to play the game that everybody's playing. So I think in reality, the only way to bring back a game like that is to have something like Marvel, basically. You know how Marvel 2, their remake?
Yeah, they have like the rollback.
It got huge.
Yeah.
Justin Wong kept going viral. I think that's like the only real way to bring something back, because they want that like new feeling again. Like all these people are going to be playing day one type of thing. If they made like a remake for Mortal Kombat 9 or Mortal Kombat X or something, or Injustice 1, that's like the new game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even though it's an old game, also a new game.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't think that would happen though. I have basically zero hope.
It's like one of those things that you see like the other communities doing it, and you're like, oh wow, that must be nice. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like, I remember there's still a very strong Super Smash Bros. Melee competitive scene, and like obviously there was like Third Strike. It's not. I don't think they're probably. I mean, they remade Third Strike a billion times, didn't they? Like. It's called Third Strike for a reason, right? So that's fair. And they're like, there was for a while, like when the Switch was coming out and stuff, they were like, oh, they're gonna make like a Melee HD, like an HD Melee, like a rebooted version of Melee, because it's still like a good game, and they're just gonna polish it a little bit. And it never ended up happening. And I mean, it was just like, Nintendo, like, were they really gonna do something like that? Like, yeah, it's a good idea, but it's not a Nintendo idea. Like, it's just like, exactly. It's a good idea, it's not an NRS idea. It's like, you had to look at it completely disregarding the business aspect of it. Yeah,
which they would never do. At least WB. I mean, like, Awesome. So
in reality, only one way to find out.
True. Let's petition. Right to Ed Boon, please remaster MK9. Give it rollback netcode. Update the graphics a little bit.
if we're being real, if he's ever gonna post something, if they're ever gonna do something like that, it's gonna be completely random. There'll be no like build up to it or anything. It'll just be randomly announced by one of them.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to approach it because
we just generate so much quick like excitement about it.
No, let's be real. Ed Boon trolls so much. He can post like a Jade's boot or something, and people will guess like which game it is, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's gonna be a remaster, or it's gonna be like game coming to Mortal Kombat 1." You know what I'm saying? And then none of them happened. Like he's just trolling the whole time. So if he posts something like that, people are gonna think he's trolling, and then by the time it comes out, like since they thought he was trolling, they're not gonna be as excited for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're just gonna be like, oh, I guess he did do it. but like, if there's no build up at all, it's like Mortal Kombat 9 Remastered coming out this day.
Today.
Like, yeah, it would be huge.
Yeah, people would be going crazy over that for sure. I think that would be a good marketing strategy. I think the potential possibility for error is also there, and companies would take that risk. It's like we did the way we promote it is to not promote it at all. That's genius.
That would be so smart, though.
It would be.
Think about the big thing. It's going viral, right?
Yeah.
It just one post like that, one good view, and then it just goes viral off of that. Like NRS announces game randomly, but I don't think it would be that big. I don't think
I don't.
World but like. That would definitely pop up, especially with like the players that played it back in the day and whatnot, not even competitively, but like casually. Because whenever there's like a remaster of a game that I played back in the day, I'm always super excited about it. Like Warcraft 3, like I started playing that again because of the whole Reforged thing. I started playing Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Well, that's a good idea. Maybe NRS should be listening if you're out there.
I'm
you're listening to just having to roll across a Mortal Kombat podcast.
I had another idea.
What is it? Lay it on us.
I had another idea too. So, back in the day, we used to host League of Legends tournaments, right? They were Riot endorsed, and Riot would give us Championship Callista, I think. Like the skin, but like a bunch of them to give out at the tournament.
Okay.
And I was thinking, I was like, you know what NRS to do? They should like make it so if you register for a tournament, you get a code for like a skin that can only be accessed if you like. It can only be unlocked if you go to that tournament.
That would be so smart. That would be such a good idea. You should be like marketing. Are you? I know like you're on tech, right? Am I correct? Like,
yeah.
You should be in marketing. Maybe you're in the wrong.
You know, I would be fired at. I would be so good at it. But at the same time, like everyone would just be like, "Oh wow, those 3 good ideas," and the ideas they come to me, I don't think about it long term, you know what I'm saying? If they're like, we need an idea for this, they're not gonna get it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like they, you know, back in like the MKX days, supposedly they like sold skin, like a DLC skin or whatever, and then it went towards the pro competition or whatever.
That was Mortal Kombat X, right?
And Mortal Kombat X, yeah, if I recall correctly. I mean, that's obviously a good idea. I think people, like, I would probably buy the skin just to support the idea of something like that. And a lot of other people probably would too. And I'm not a big fan of skins. Like, I love the UMK3 skins. I think those are awesome. I love that. I bought them for all the ninjas. But other than that, like, I'm not I kind of like how the game, in a weird way, I like how the game kind of makes the characters at base. Yeah. And I don't feel the need to change that. That's just me personally.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any. The only skin I think I used is the Elder God skin for Baraka. Aside from that, I just use my skin whenever I play. But I'm the same way too. Like if it was to like support the tournament scene and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm that for that.
Yeah. You're someone who is still, like, to this day, I mean, like, for how long you've been in there, you're still going to, like, I've seen you at a few local tournaments. I've seen you go out to a few majors, too. Do you do that just to, like, kind of support the community, or is it just to, like, kind of, like, hang out, use, like, the atmosphere of Mortal Kombat, or?
I like hanging out. I like seeing the people that I played with back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Because there'll be, like, a Mortal Kombat 9 room. We'll just play Mortal Kombat 9. Because I haven't entered any actual major or anything for Mortal Kombat 1. I personally haven't played enough, in my opinion. Play like 10 hours a month.
That's not that much. I'm gonna say like 10 hours a week. I'm like, oh wow, that's good. You know,
the thing is, like, I do like the game. It's just I know I have to spend a lot of time catching up to it.
Yeah.
Like to the new mechanics, because I didn't play Mortal Kombat 11. So
at all, or just very minimal.
Like 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
I did a Liu Kang combo, but I didn't like how the movement was. So that's why I stopped playing.
Really?
It was before wave dashing.
Yeah.
It was before wave dashing was done, so I was just like, it's too. It felt too clunky at the start. And like learning about like Duck OS, all that stuff. Like obviously, if I had put like in reality 30 minutes or something, I would understand.
Yeah. If you put more time,
yeah. It's just I had to like actually done because I've been trying to. I have like a little goal sheet that I had for the year, which is like, I wanted to make a top 8 at a Mortal Kombat 1 tournament. I didn't care if it's like a 4-man tournament, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, sometimes it, showing up
Gladiator in World of Warcraft. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Gladiator in World of... What's it called? Gladiator in Mortal Kombat, Elder God without cameo, and without... I did that with Garrus.
Yeah, that's fun, with Garrus too, like, that's fucked up. That's impressive for sure. I saw you did it on PC, which makes it less impressive, but, you know, that's whatever.
Oh, but I did it with the...
Crossplay?
What's that thing? Crossplay, yeah.
Oh, you did crossplay on? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Credit, I gave you the credit back, you get the credit. Just kidding.
And then, what else did I want? I wanted Challenger and League, and if I didn't hit Challenger for the season, I was fine with, like, ending Masters, which I just ended Masters for the season, so I was fine with that. And that was for the first split. And then there was one more. That actually might have been it.
Did you get the top 8 in the MK tournament?
Yeah, oddly enough, it was at the MK New Jersey tournament, monthly last month.
Oh, really? Nice. Well, let's go. Let's go.
And then I think I have everything except for literally one. Oh yeah, and my other goal was to sponsor a player, which I was able to do as well. Very happy about all those things that I accomplished.
Who did you?
Except for the Gladiator in World of Warcraft. I haven't reinstalled it. It's like 5 years ago, but I'll get it.
You said you sponsored a player. What player did you sponsor?
I keep that on the DL.
Okay, the deal. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's fair. Sorry, I should have asked.
I'll tell you first.
Okay, where that?
You won't be surprised at all. You'll be like, okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So sounds good. So you said those are your goals for this year. What about like next year? Like I know you said you really aren't a fan of competition. So do you do you have any plans of going to like tournaments, or do you plan on competing in any brackets just for fun in the upcoming months or maybe next year?
So realistically, if I do put in the time play, I would like to do well at a tournament. Like basically I'm saving my first tournament for the game for when I feel confident, because I refuse to lose because I don't understand what's happening. That's the best way I put it.
That's fair.
I'd rather lose because I know the player outplayed. Like the player is better than me.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, knowing the game more than the other person, they are better than you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I want to lose like because I got outspaced and all that stuff. I don't want to lose because I didn't. You're
just getting knowledge checked over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to lose because I don't know something's like +4, or because something's a high, something has a gap, all that stuff.
It's funny because I have always taken the opposite approach, and have just like started entering stuff like Injustice. I just started learning it. Like I learned it, and then like 2 days later, I entered like my first tournament.
You've been doing better than those too.
Yeah, I haven't. So I think either approach. I personally, if someone were to ask me, how am I going to get good at XYZ fighting game, I would say obviously play the game, practice your combos, practice movement. I think that's a big thing that not enough people practice, especially NRS games like block dashing and stuff. That's a huge thing. And then just like enter tournaments, like as many as you can if you can. If you're really just you had like all the time and you're just trying to get better, like that's what I would do. And I think like when you play online, you get a lot of matchup experience for sure. Yeah. But when you play in a tournament, you get a lot of like, I don't want to say like masters, but in a way like you get like people who are really good with their characters. They're gonna play solid. They're not going to. I mean, they'll mash or whatever. Sometimes you'll play people who are good, but they don't have fundamentals.
Yeah, like and you're basically playing people that like understand the game to your level or higher. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. So you get that really like a high quality experience and like if you're someone who goes back and reviews matches, not everyone does that, but those are more helpful than Combat League. And at least for me personally, I know everyone's different. And you talked about how Rio like takes casuals and competitive like the same. I am the opposite of that. Like for one, like just putting like pressure on myself. Like if every game was like whether it was Combat League or top 8 of a major, if I was taking those the same thing, I would go crazy. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna play someone who's like hard on myself and stuff, and like pressure and stuff. Like I enjoy the game obviously, so I enjoy getting on and like doing things to get better, but playing in like a casual mindset as well. When we're just kind of having fun, occasionally we'll just throw out special moves, we'll make really crazy reads and stuff like that, just because it's kind of fun to do.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, but. You mentioned something that I like talking about, because my thing is, I feel like the player's stronger if they play the way that you were just saying, how you play casual. I think they're stronger when they don't really worry about like the consequences of like doing a shadow kick, like just doing it in neutral, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, when they lose like the fear of being punished, I think they do better because they'll play more confidently. Whereas when you're playing with fear, you're gonna be the reactor. You're not gonna cause the reaction.
I remember, and I think to a degree you're 100% correct. And I feel like when I've done like my best in like tournaments and stuff, it's definitely with like I don't really care how this goes. Like I don't care if I do well or bad, or I kind of just like a fuck it attitude. That's usually when I play my best, because it's just like I'll just kind of like trust everything that I'm doing and not second guess myself. I heard DGT posted something out there, it might have been a little while ago. Is like you want to play fundamental and then mix in some quote unquote ass play, as I said.
Oh yeah. I remember that tweet.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you want to do, because you want to keep them on your toes, especially in a block button game where it's like you always have that kind of really strong defensive option, which is just hold R2. And you're not worried about getting crossed up and stuff. So you're going to need to throw things that throw them off their guard, catch them while they're moving and stuff like that, which is like special moves, like a shadow kick or something.
Well, and there's also actually something else. There's a few factors that I like thinking about too, along with that, which is something else that Denzel said. If someone could beat you like 2 games out of 1,000, they could still beat you in tournament. Or I guess now would be 3 games, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you could beat them 997 times in a row, and the last 3, they just win somehow.
Yeah.
They can eliminate you from a tournament, put you to losers, whatever. So my big thing is like that, along with something that Sonic Fox said at an Evo interview. Actually, they were talking about how they make a mental note of their opponent and how they're reacting and whatnot. So with the 1,000 times, if you're just beating them, but they beat you those 3 games, flaw in your gameplay, and Sonic Fox's mindset with the whole making mental notes and whatnot. Say someone is like constantly backdashing after you do forward 1 on Johnny Cage. Just for instance. So if they're constantly backdashing after that, what you want to do typically is punish it. Like you want to chase them down. But something Sonic Fox does, at least how they explained it, was that they realized that was happening to them at what was it, Final Combat? Nicholas, I think it was. And they backdash after something. I forgot what it was. But they were always backdashing, and Sonic didn't punish it until they knew it would win them the game. Like, if you watch it back, it'll happen every single time, over and over and over. And the very last time is the one that won the tournament.
Yeah. Interesting. So, like, you saved the read essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So like, in that like 1,000 game set, you want to constantly make a note of how they're reacting to things, because you don't want those 3 games to happen, those 3 losses.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a few things to say on that. One, I learned that like pretty early in my competitive career. I kind of learned that lesson where I had a friend who like played Smash, and it was the night before a tournament. And he came over and we played friendlies for like 2 hours, and I won every single game. Didn't lose a single time. The next day we play in bracket, and he beats me 2-0.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, it's like, it could be like day to day. It could be like, you play 1,000 times. It's just those 2 games. And it's also like just the difference of a casual to like a competitive match. Like how engaged someone is, things they're willing to do, play, like I said, more defensively or stuff like that. Like it could really change like entire game plan. And then also what you said, when it comes to like saving reads, there's definitely like obviously some good. Well, the way I look at it is, Sonic is obviously very good and stuff like that. So he was able to win basically without making that read until the end, which is pretty crazy because I feel like as soon as I have a read on someone, like I think, okay, like that's how I'm going to get one of my openings.
Yeah.
Rather than like, okay, I'm going to be able to win without it, and then I'll pull it out at the end. Like that's an insane amount of confidence. Not a lot of people, not a skill that not a lot of people have, and then something that like not a lot of people could do. And then also basically what like fighting games come down to in general is like that one situation where like, oh, they're backdashing after this one thing, like being able to read your opponent, and that's why people who may not play the game that much could be really good, while people who play the game all the time might not be that good because they're not able to kind of make these mental notes or kind of make these deductions of like, okay, they're doing this option after this situation. Yeah, which is really cool, and why I like fighting games.
Something to like tag on to that too is like when you make those mental notes and whatnot, when you put it in the back pocket, if you know you're playing like solid, you're gonna use it to your advantage somehow, whether it's to bring you back into the game, get momentum back, win the game, whatever. It's basically one of those things where if they keep doing it, it doesn't mean you have to punish it. Because these are tournament players, like they're gonna adapt to that. Like you need something over their head rather than just fundamentals. Like mind games do come in. It's like a chess game. Fighting games are chess games, basically.
They really are.
And something as simple as that is just playing 10 steps ahead of your opponent, like literally.
Yeah, like when in chess, you're like, okay, if I do this, they're gonna do this. Yeah. Kind of like, the like baits or like kind of, baiting. It's exactly what it is. It's just cool, and it's something that unfortunately I guess we've always been in a spot where fighting games aren't really marketable. You know what I mean? Like, if a company puts in a ton of support for it, then it can have a big community. But if not, it can be kind of hard to get people into them. It can be kind of hard to, like, get people who don't care or don't play them, but, like, watch it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's millions of people who don't play football, but watch football, or basketball, or even, like, TV shows, like cooking shows, or people that don't cook or whatever. But like fighting games tend to be like, unless you play fighting games, you don't watch them. Yeah. It's kind of obvious, but I digress. Do you think there is either a better way that the community can like kind of bridge people from like into the competitive sphere, and do you ever think I I guess like because like we kind of have to like you almost have to simplify the games, and I feel like we're definitely at a point where games are getting kind of simpler in an attempt to probably make them more like easier for people to get into.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like the way that like could essentially help grow like the FGC? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm wording that great, but
I think a common theme with like football, baseball, and whatnot, in terms of like casual audience, like people that don't play or anything but they watch it. My theory behind it is that they don't really know what's happening in the game, but like not play, like someone that's interested in football but they don't care about sports or whatever. They're not even interested, but they're having fun watching it. I think the big thing is like, even if they don't really know what's going on or whatnot, they know what's like good.
Yeah.
Like for fighting games, like if someone wins, like they see that as good. Like winning is good.
Yeah.
But
it's like
getting like a hit, they don't even know if someone gets a hit. You know,
like how far they're gonna take or stuff like when they score a goal, you know that they get 1 point, and it's hard to get points. Or in football, to score a touchdown, they get 6 points. So it's like it's kind of like my girlfriend and I have gone to a few like local like AHL hockey games, and she doesn't know what's going on, but she knows that like if our team scores, then it's a good thing, and if their team scores, it's a bad thing, and it's like you can kind of keep up in that regard.
Yeah.
But in fighting game, they like you said, they can get more technical, or if they like if you get a certain hit, that could be bigger than just getting a different hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting a grab is different than getting your best opener or whatever. Like,
what? It doesn't even. It wouldn't even have to be like that technical per se. Like it could even be something as simple as like seeing someone shimmy someone is exciting for fighting game players. Like, what casual person, what person that doesn't play fighting games, like, how are they gonna even know what a shimmy is? They're not gonna be like, wow,
you got hit.
They're just gonna be like, oh, like, so one of them's doing something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like.
But for football, like, for instance, like, if they even just make a catch.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really know what's going on, but they know that they're further on in the... Like, they're doing well, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Or, no, that makes 100%. Like, your team's moving down the field and getting closer to scoring. Or your team did score, like that.
Yeah, whereas, like, casual players... not even casual players, like, people that don't watch fighting games or play games, basically. But that's a good way to put it. They're not looking at the health bar. They're just looking at what's happening on their screen. Like, obviously the health bar's on the screen, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're looking at the action. Oh no, you go.
No, it's like fighting games, particularly like when I first got into at least watching like MK, like competitive MK. Sorry, car just drove by my house. When I first got it, like it looks like, because I didn't know like the frame data, I didn't really understand that aspect, the range or whatever.
The car did hit your house. I was
like, no, a car hit my house. You're sorry, a car just hit my house. Yeah, no, it's okay. Indestructible house.
I was like, wow.
Very casual about it.
You know, I would have respected that. I would have respected it. You know, like, I gotta get what I gotta do done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was saying when I first started watching like MKX, and this was before like I even like started playing the game, but like I just ran in to watch it. It looks like they're just spamming the same combo over and over again.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like, and that's kind of like, okay, it's like, oh, when I first got into it, like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find the optimal combo, and then just spam that and hope I hit my opponent. You know? So it can kind of look like very basic on the outside, but on the inside, when you understand it, it becomes a lot more in depth. And they're playing like around certain spacing, they're playing around certain moves, or you know, they're playing around certain things because it gives them good knockdown, or certain things because they, you know, it gives them good frame data or whatever. So
the more technical aspect.
Yeah. Do you think there's any possible way to make like that information more readily available, like make it easier to understand, like from a viewership perspective, or do you think we're kind of just doomed to, you know, if you understand it, you understand it. If you don't, then
so
we're done now.
I think the only way that would really happen is if it's set up by like a really popular mainstream company. The reason I say that is because MLG, for instance, the Mortal Kombat 9, they were kind of trying to make things easier to understand. Like they would have the players give a rundown on how to do a combo or whatever, or like their best things to use, like their best string.
Yeah.
And you could tell that the people that were like producing it, A, don't play the game, and they don't care about the game in reality. And that if they don't, like, you're going to see it in the production base. Basically what happened was, like, I think the production was fine, but they didn't even bother to make sure what was being put down as the captions was correct. Because in Junior, for instance, he was like, okay, Jax's best string is forward 413. The production on the caption, and it's not even like those like closed captions or anything. It's like they typed it, they put it there specifically on the bottom of the screen. They did forward 13, and I was like, what is this?
I don't think that's even a thing. Like,
yeah. And I was like, someone's gonna try that, you know, and so they're not even gonna know what forward means. In reality, like, if you try teaching someone who has never touched the game, if you're like, do forward anything, they'll be like, which way is forward? You know
no, true. No, very true.
So, I think something that makes things more accessible, I think, or something like that, from like a viewership perspective, I think that's difficult, just because you would have to put everything like on the screen, even if you're listening to the person announcing it, like they're not really explaining what's going on in a way that a new player is going to understand it. And then something that I think does well with, like, in terms of playing, like a casual person playing the game, is something that Poseidcast actually does, where they have like auto combos, where you'll just press the same button multiple times and they'll do a combo for you. I think something like that is actually like really, really good for new players, because you'll get an idea of what the combo does, and eventually, like, if you're just strictly extremely casual, like, you're fine losing games or winning games just based off of that, especially with the matchmaking system that they have. And if like you see these combos and then you see these bigger combos, you're gonna be like, oh, I want to try that, but I can't do that with this auto combo. I'm gonna have to learn how to play.
It's better. Or mix this in so I can get that combo. No, that's really cool. No, I think that's smart. I mean, I think 2XKO, when you mentioned like there was a popular company would need to make a game for casuals to get in it. I'm not sure if that's exactly on the level you were thinking, but I think if there is something to do that, it's probably a game like 2XKO.
Because yeah, exactly. Because in reality, they're trying to make it fun for both casual and competitive players. Whereas, like, I can't say for sure what most companies go for, but I assume they go more towards just the casual audience. Yeah,
because that's the majority. It's kind of like you ever heard of like the 80-20 principle, where it's like 80% of a product is going to be bought by 20% of the people who buy the product. So it's like 80% of the playtime is going to be from the 20% of the people who play the game the most, essentially, which are going to be like the competitive community.
Yeah.
So essentially, like, but that's not going to increase the sales. So they're going to market towards the 80% who don't play the game that much, but are gonna just to get them to buy it once. Just because they're gonna make their money that way. So it's unfortunate, but
that's what I think, right? Low key, I think that's what Riot's going for too with 2XKO. My theory behind it is that they're gonna make the game catered to casuals, and then, but also making sure that the competitive scene also gets what they need, essentially.
Because it seems like they're really listening.
Yeah, and It's gonna sound bad, but microtransactions are gonna be very popular.
Oh yeah, because it's a free game, right?
It's a free fighting game.
Yeah, so it's not going to be
that's
all
why
over
they
the
have
place.
to cater for casuals.
Yeah,
But it sounds bad, but it's like being pushed in a way that's competitive. But they are open about it being like for casuals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
They're very open. Like, we're gonna make sure casual players are having fun on it too.
Yeah.
That's not like they're doing anything sneaky with that.
Yeah, but I think that's sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good.
But like for even the health of a competitive community, having a really solid casual player base like that likes the game and keeps on coming back to it and doesn't just. I mean, like if you think about it, most video games that I get, I play for like a week, 2 weeks, and then it kind of goes away, and then maybe you pull it out every now and then.
Yeah.
Like with fighting games, like I compete in, I play that all the time. Like I play MK1. I probably played on 300 different days since the game's been out.
Yeah.
But like so, having a casual community that kind of constantly comes back is important because like then maybe they'll hear about tournaments and stuff like that, and these tournaments are fueled by people who go to or want to. Like the people who their goal is to win one match in the tournament, just not go to. Yeah. So to have a big player base of people like that who could potentially become those O2ers or 1-2ers will probably really, really help the game. And I think that's important for any fighting game to have that.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, the most important thing about these tournaments is that you have fun.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that I see a lot of people talking about, like, oh, I don't want to go because it's not worth it financially, blah, blah, blah. But my whole mindset is, like, in theory, you could see it in terms of, like, you're going for the tournament.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, you're traveling for a weekend. Like, that weekend, you can do whatever you want outside of the tournament. You can just chill, you can go out to, like, when I went to Combo Breaker, I went to Chicago.
Yeah, like downtown Chicago.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I did that as well. The year before, my girlfriend came and we like went through the whole city and stuff like that, and it was awesome. Like I could see the river and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's super chill.
Yeah.
Like in reality, it's a getaway. You know what I'm saying? If your main goal is to like do well, like it'll suck for like a few hours or whatever, but you still have to realize that you're still on vacation, basically.
Yeah, and that's kind of like something I feel like has helped me do well at like major tournaments and stuff like that, is that you go and it's like, okay, if I do well, then awesome. Like I achieve the goal that I set to do. And if I don't do well, then like, well, I'm in this city that I've never been to before that I can go explore, I can hang out with people, like I can just kind of have a good time. So it's like a win-win. And so,
yeah, exactly. So, and like even if you don't travel anywhere, you're 9 times out of 10 in like a hotel with people who play the exact same game that you spend a lot of time playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have common interests. It's an entire hotel with people with common interests. It's not like something where you have to like. I was gonna say like you don't have to feel like you hate the tournament, but like one of those things where it's like. If I don't do this, my weekend's ruined.
Yeah, if I don't do well, or if I don't get the certain result or stuff like that, or if you drown in pools or whatever, you just don't do as well, or you look at your path and you lose to someone that you definitely thought you were going to beat. Something like that. Like,
exactly.
People, you see it all the time, like people are really like devastated, and like I get it because it's like it's a video game and. Like you shouldn't take it too seriously, and I agree with the whole sentiment. But there's also the other aspect of you do put a lot of people do put a lot of time into this, and to be good, like there's people that are playing this game every day. They have time to prioritize it. Maybe they're in school, or they have they
just have like personal goals.
Yeah, they have personal goals, but they play a lot or whatever, and so. So it definitely is understandable. I'm not going to try to say like, oh, you shouldn't be upset when you lose, but at the end of the day, if you don't take, like, you don't want to have the fear of failure be greater than, like, the desire to win, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I feel like I always do my best when my desire to win is greater than my fear of failure, but then also my fear of failure generally is just low, where it's it's not a failure either way. But yeah, I think that's a really good perspective. So I have had you here for about a little over an hour or so. Is there anything, any like potential rants or anything you want to go on? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you thought maybe I would ask? We get a chance to talk about here before I let you go.
Well, actually, something that. A lot of these were like questions and whatnot, but I kind of want to have like a discussion based off of your thought process on something like this.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna give you a hot take. I need to hear your opinion on it.
Okay.
So, you see all the times the people on Twitter and whatnot, they'll be like, I always lose to bad players, but I do well against good players.
Yeah.
My theory is that the reason why a lot of players do well against good players is because the good players know what option this person has, right?
Yeah.
Like, they respect it more. But the bad players, quote unquote, like they don't know the game enough, so they don't respect it.
Yeah.
But that means the players that you do better against, most of the time, that doesn't mean that they're beating them. That just means that they're doing better against them.
Yeah.
It means they can adapt to the bad players.
Exactly.
And the good players are just better than them.
Yeah.
So to see it in terms of that, you know what I'm saying? I think there's no true I do better against good players than I do against bad players.
I think that's silly. I think there's a lot you can kind of dig into in that statement. I think one is that if you do good against good players, for example, like you think that way, is that they respect an option that you basically need them to respect in order to get your game plan going. So they're good enough to know, like, oh, this is +4 or whatever. I'm not going to press on it because I can get blown up for it. And then you're used to playing around the fact that someone's respecting that option. So when someone disrespects that option, you don't know how to deal with it. Because you are just so used, and a good player who's going to, you kind of leverage their options and know, like, okay, it's more advantageous for me to stay blocking or whatever. And then you're able to establish a mix-up compared to someone else who's like, okay, I'm going to do +4, and then they mash on every time you get hit. Then they jail their combo or whatever, and now it's their pressure or whatever, and you're like, I can never establish a plus answer, you know?
Yeah.
I think, that's obviously like a big aspect where you're almost too deep into the layers, and you almost like can't unravel it back to get the win in that particular aspect, like a combat league set, for example, where it's only first to 2. Yeah. So you're not unable to unravel your game plan enough. Like I've noticed that, like, I want to say, but like, the level of player I can beat is like really high, and the level of player I can lose to is like, I don't like to call people bad. You know what I mean? Like, you can call people good, but like, I think, you know, if you're bad, then maybe you're just a casual who just enjoys the game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like to kind of like equate it like that.
That's
that
makes sense. Quote unquote bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, because like at the end of the day, like, you know, maybe you're just trying to have fun, and you know, does that really make you bad? I don't think so. Like these people may like not even understand the options that you're giving them when you need someone basically to understand that. And that's why like something like Combat League is really good, because it really teaches you how to kind of sniff out those things. It's like, okay, if this person is going to disrespect me, like, how am I going to do my game plan then? Or if they are, you know, they're doing this weird option in this situation where it's like, I'm plus, but they're backdashing and I'm not used to it. So, you know what I mean? You have to make the adaptation to step up and press a button rather than just kind of keeping your pressure right there. Or whatever.
And something too that I was just thinking about too is a big aspect of it too is it comes down to like your defense being worse than their offense, even if their offense is like random, like you're not defending it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like you may not have an understanding. It could be like that character. It could be a character thing too, where it's like you either don't understand the matchup or you don't understand the option or the situation that they're putting you in.
Yeah. And actually, another one that I want to ask. So, I've noticed this theme from every single iteration, every single game that came out. The players that played the previous game will always complain about the new players of the new game. In terms of it doesn't click with them that like new players and players that weren't super good at the previous one.
Yeah.
it doesn't click with people that the level of play is proven.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I see a lot of like, I've never lost to this person before, but I'm losing to them now. Or things like, this game's bad because like I should never lose to a player like this.
Yeah.
But it happens every single game. At a certain point, people just have to understand that like the level of play is always like it's always increasing.
Yeah.
Because what all these new players that came out in Injustice, they were like that were extremely top level.
Yeah.
It carried over to Mortal Kombat X. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Mortal Kombat X going into Injustice 2.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's because the level of play is getting higher.
Yeah. You can't just kind of like coast on it.
Yeah.
And also, it's like, it's like you obviously like get to a certain skill level, and then you're kind of just good. And especially with like the newer games coming out and stuff like that, like having to relearn a new game like that is not something that people are always going to enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to like the glory days. So if you were a top player in MK9 or MKX, and you're not in this game for XYZ reason, you might just be like, well, those games were the best games.
Yeah.
Because that's just how fondly you're going to remember it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
And that's somewhere with. That's actually a good point too, because like there's always the people that are like the top players in this era would do better than top players in this era. But when you really look at it, the amount of top players isn't as high as I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I view people as like top players than elite players.
Mm-hmm.
And through every iteration of games and whatnot, like elite players I think are very, very small. Like in terms of like the quantity of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use Rio as an example. Like, so in terms of tournament wins throughout all of NRS, right?
Yeah.
From Mortal Kombat 9 to now.
Yeah.
The only person that had, so Sonic Fox has the most tournament wins, right?
That makes sense.
Rio has the second one.
Really? And he hasn't been competing for a while, right?
And that's from Mortal Kombat 9 onward. And that's mainly from 2 games. So, when you really think about it, like that's what an elite player is.
Yeah.
Like, he was really, really good.
Yeah.
Sonic Fox, extremely good. That's an elite player.
Yeah.
Like, the level of play in general, overall, is pretty similar. But the elite players, they're like, those are the players that can go to any era of game and they would have done well.
Yeah. 100%. Like, there's so many things that go into there's like tournament mentality where it's like you watch Sonic and you watch like all the times they win, like there's times where it's super close where it's like, okay, it's a coin flip situation and like either player can win off this 50-50 guess, and like Sonic Fox always wins.
Yeah.
It's like how? It's like the consistency. It's like when it comes down to this last moment, they're always gonna make the right decision and they're always gonna win.
Yeah. And
it's just like so crazy. It's like that's like the competitive edge thing, or that's saving something for the end. Sonic Fox has this thing in his back pocket, so when it's like last situation and they see the situation come up, they're like, I know he's gonna do that, and then I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna win. So it's just
yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned like the whole like elite player thing. There isn't like a lot. As you may know, I made like the top 100 competitive ranking for Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
I made one for the summer ranking and like a winter ranking, or like at least 2003. And like the top like 15 to 20, like 1 through 20, at least like that's like almost like super easy because it's just like the like super elite players. But then like 21 through like 100, it's like basically like interchangeable. Those are all really, really, really good players who could like win tournaments, beat super good players, go on big runs, like sponsorship level players. But it's like the margin for error is a lot smaller in that range compared to the elite players. It's like getting from a brand new player getting from being brand new into the top 100 just level is easier than being someone who's currently in the top 100 and getting to like that top 20.
Yeah.
Like it's just
exactly. And bouncing off of that too, I could think about it in terms of like any of those top players realistically could put up a good match against those like elite players.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, more people are expecting that elite player to win.
Yeah. Like if they were, to take the top 20 and you were just to run them throughout a combat league simulator of like 20 matches, like they would lose some sets to those like 23 100 players. But if you were to enter them all in a tournament and like the top 20 would probably that would be like probably the top 20 finishes.
Yeah. Like,
that makes sense.
And that's why tournament results in reality, they've been pretty consistent if you really think about it. If you look back, like top 8, or rather like top 4. I would say top 4 to top 6 type of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm not gonna say top 6. I hate that format. But top 4 to top 8. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's actually very, very consistent. Even with the online tournaments, like you'll see Bandinos doing well, like constantly in online tournaments. Their very first offline tournament was Combo Breaker. I think they got 5th.
Well,
like it's very, very consistent.
Want me to drop some knowledge? He actually kind of didn't do too great at DreamHack Atlanta. He got like 17th. It was his first tournament, and then he went to Combo Breaker, did amazing. But I digress.
Well, even so, first tournament getting 17th.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
No, that's good. That's like, especially
coming from an online scene. Like you have so much to get used to playing offline.
Yeah, and so like that's pretty common, and like for your second big major tournament to be you getting top 8 is unfathomable. I think so. It's like it's common for people to kind of show up to their first offline and not do well. I think that's the norm. So like the fact that the expectation was for him to do amazing, and then he went and delivered, and then won DreamHack Atlanta this year. So it's like,
it's funny. There's actually a few people that their first offline showing they just did super well. Like, Hayate is one of them. First tournament was Mortal Kombat X. I think it was either T13 or Toryukin for Mortal Kombat X. He won the very first tournament. It had like Honeybee, Biohazard, all of them there.
Really?
Yeah, and that was his first tournament ever.
Remember Sunio told me about the Toryukin tournaments.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, sometimes some people do debut on the greatness, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
Like you see, like Ninja Killer just kind of came out and won, or like the twins from Chile.
That was also DreamHack, right?
Yeah, DreamHack Atlanta and MK9, yeah. And he even talked about, like, wow, like the nervousness at offline is completely different. Like I was like super nervous. But then like the Chilean twins and stuff. But it's not very common. A lot of people will come out and Buster at their first few events. Buster did not do that well.
Yeah.
But then eventually they kind of get it and it makes sense and it clicks, and then as you go you get better and better and stuff. But thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun talking about this, reminiscing about older days and talking, about tournaments, mentality, and stuff like that. But, it's been a little while. I don't want to hold you up all night, so...
No, you're good.
I think we're probably going to wrap it up here. I'll definitely leave links in the description to any of Soup's social media information. I know he's not chasing clout or whatever, but...
It's surprising you remembered that from the very beginning.
Yeah. Callbacks. But I'll leave a link in the description to his Twitter, and he started a YouTube too, so I'll leave a link in there as well. Make sure some of that and ask him for Mortal Kombat 9 videos, because you're probably not gonna get that anywhere else. There probably some people do occasionally, but consistent MK9 content. That's what I'm looking for. But alright, man. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys at the next video.